Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mandy and this channel is all about supporting the Epi dog owner. So today what I want to talk about are 3 ways that you can help support your dog with epilepsy. So as you know, having a dog with epilepsy, it just takes more work, more thought, more advocating, and more working with the veterinarian just to make sure that your dog lives a happy, long life. So the first way that you can help your dog with epilepsy is compliance. So really, when you have left that veterinarian's office, that you are following the treatment protocol that has been given to you for your dog. The next would be making sure that any prescription meds that have been prescribed for your dog with epilepsy are not only given on time, but you know the schedule. So if you have different medications that your dog needs to take in the day, you know what meds, what time those have to be given. Along with the prescription medications, you really need to know the correct dosage and making sure that you are sticking with compliance, making sure not only the correct time and what schedule things have to be given, but that the correct dosage is being given at that time as well. Along with that, there can be many different ways that can help you not only remember how to give your meds on time. I have a video about that if you want to look back through. I'll also link it below, but also ways just to remember to give your dog the right meds. So there can be different ways, like having the weekly pill containers that you're going to use, having other visuals that make sure that you've given your dog their pets, especially if you have given your dog their pills. This is also important to make sure that you're being compliant if you have multiple people in the family that might be helping out with that dog. So not assuming that somebody has done it when maybe they forgot to do it. But I think the bigger message here is making sure that if your veterinarian has ordered something as far as a medication or has given you instructions, like for instance, for my dog Ruby, she's on phenobarbital and it is required to give it to her every 12 hours. That is a medication that there can't be a big gap from 12 hours. So I have an alarm set on my phone for 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. so exactly 12 hours apart, and every single day she gets her meds at that time. Are there times that I've messed up and forgot to set the alarm or just something happens in life? Absolutely. But for the most part, our responsibility for compliance and making sure that we're following the plan that has been given out is just gonna make sure that your pet has the best chances in dealing with having epilepsy. So compliance. So the second way that you can help your epi dog is by advocating for them. Many of us who've been doing this now for years have just learned along the way that we are our epi dog's voice. So we need to make sure that we are asking for what they need. So one example of that is if you feel like the current veterinarian that you're working with is not listening to you or is not hearing your concerns, first maybe try to see if you can work that out. But if you can't, you need to move on and find another vet who's going to listen to you, take the time to answer your questions. If you feel like there is something important that you need for your dog, that they're gonna hear you and they're gonna listen to you. So that teamwork between you and your veterinarian is just so important. I've been lucky. I've worked with a couple of different veterinarians now that have always listened to me and have always been willing to work with me. If you feel like you don't understand something, like understand why a particular medication is needed, how a particular med is going to work for your dog with epilepsy, why a certain test might be needed, understanding the results of a certain test. You need to ask the questions. So just get good at being the person who is going to ask the questions and want more information. That's okay. The more information you know, the better you're going to be able to advocate for your dog. So this is also meaning you should be doing research outside of those vet visits to prepare for them, or if your vet has said something during the visit and has explained it, if you want to know more, do your own research. Thank goodness for the internet today. We can really learn so much about this world of canine epilepsy. So this is another way that you're going to be an advocate for your epi dog, is to really build your knowledge base as much as you possibly can about canine epilepsy and seizures. Another way that you're going to be advocating for your dog is if you need something for them. One of the things that you will hear if you've been in this world of canine epilepsy for a little while, you will hear the terminology emergency meds. And so that's something that I'm hoping to do a video on, just to kind of explain that more and what the protocol can be for that. But emergency meds, so that would just be if you are, if your dog tends to have cluster seizures, so one after another, or if your dog were to go into a seizure and not come out of it. We know how dangerous that can be for our dogs, and so we do have the ability to have our vets write for a prescription for us to have medication at home that we could administer in an emergency situation to basically save our dog's life. It will buy you time before you can get your dog to an emergency vet. So that is something that I learned about, not in the beginning, but after a couple years, I started to hear people talking about having emergency meds at home and how necessary that was as part of your protocol for your dog. That is something that was never offered to me by a veterinarian that I worked with. It was something that I had to ask for. But as soon as I asked for it, my vet was more than willing to write me a prescription for it. So that is just one example of how being an advocate for your dog is asking for things even if they don't offer them to you. So number 3, the third way that you can help your epi dog is clear and correct record keeping. This is something that if you are new to having a dog with epilepsy, you're gonna get really good at this. Your vet really needs to have your help in keeping accurate data, which is gonna just help inform them when they are coming up with what is the right treatment plan for your dog. So this is where you and your vet are really gonna team up, and the information that you keep in your records and then share with them is going to be so beneficial in making sure that your dog is getting the right type of treatment for their epilepsy. I would say what also goes hand in hand with this is making sure that you have some sort of organized way that you are keeping all of your epi dog's medical records. Right now, I have all of mine in one binder, so I know if for some reason I need to get information fast, or if I needed to, in the middle of the night, take her to an emergency animal hospital that's an hour away, I can just grab that binder and go. So if you haven't come up with some sort of a system to keep your records for your epi dog somewhat organized and in one place, that's a great place to start, just to start to compile that information together. And finally, what goes along with clear and correct record keeping is keeping a seizure journal. So that seizure journal is going to provide important information for your veterinarian, like the frequency of the seizures, so you can tell them, when did the last one happen, how often are they happening, when they do happen, how long do they last, and then identify anything that might have happened beforehand that could have possibly have been a trigger for that particular seizure. So, and then also noting if there's any sort of emergency meds that are given when seizures occur. So lots of information to put together. If you do not have a seizure journal already that you're using, or if you just want to see another example of one, check out the link below in the description for my free seizure journal. You can download it and start using it today. So I hope this information was helpful. Just know that if you're here and learning with me, you're doing everything that you can. This is definitely a journey to have a dog with epilepsy. There's so much to know, there's so much to do. So just bit by bit, try to put these things together, and I'm gonna try to help you along the way. I am still figuring everything out, but I've been on this journey for almost 4 years now, so I have a passion to share what I've learned along the way. So thank you for being here and learning with me as I continue to learn with Ruby. Have a good day.